Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kirbside Network. I am your host, Jay Kirby, joined today by a very well respected, a very awards heavy, because we talked about it a little bit beforehand, comic book writer and comic book artist, Rich Davis. Thank you for joining me today, Rich.
Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. And of course, before we get started, as always, shout out to our sponsors, Raise Energy, available at repsports.com. Use the promo code Kirbside8 at checkout. They have a wonderful product. They're, one of the best energy drinks out there. I love them. I love using their pre-workouts before I go to the gym. So do not miss out on an excellent opportunity. Go get you some wonderful energy drinks from Rep. Also, whenever if you're traveling in the gym or if you're sitting here listening to a podcast, you always need a good snack. So shout out to our friends at jerky.pro. Use the promo code Kirbside8 at checkout once again for a wonderful discount. They have an assortment of flavors, an assortment of different kind of jerkies that are just absolutely fantastic. Cannot suggest them enough. So go check them out. Don't forget to use the promo code. You won't regret it. Of course, our partners, Collected Comics, here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They have 2 locations. Go say hi to them. They have some excellent selection. They've got toys, they've got games, they've got comics galore. So go check out Collected Comics. And of course, you can see us from Kirbside Network. Mostly, I want to say myself, Cody, who played our Blue Ranger for the Renegade Rangers, and Reese, who played our Pink Ranger for Renegade Rangers as well. We will all be at not Power Morphicon. We will be at More Phenomenal Con March 29th and 30th in San Antonio, Texas. We'll be down there doing media, meeting some amazing Power Ranger actors. Do not miss out on this excellent convention. It's going to be a blast of a weekend. But with that, we'll get straight into the interview. I know, Rich, you're a busy man, and I don't want to hold you too long, but I appreciate you swinging by. I appreciate you stopping in to talk about your new book.
Yeah, man. Thank you again. I really appreciate you having me. Doing podcasts like this in the beginning when Cult of Dracula was launching, it's really what propelled the book to as much success as it had. Being on podcasts like yours, picking up, 5, 10 customers, readers, at a time, it really adds up. Podcasts really have a strong voice. And I'm really happy to be able to speak to your listeners today.
Well, we appreciate it very much. So like you said beforehand, we were talking a little bit offline before that. You are pretty well decorated when it comes to the writing scene. You talked a little bit about getting a badge in New York. You've won a couple awards for your Cult of Dracula. What does it feel like to be kind of getting back into the swing of things with this new book coming out, Angel Hunter?
Yeah, man, I am really excited about Angel Hunter. It's my first foray into the world of fantasy. Normally, I'm a horror writer. After having 4 horror series out, basically one a year for the past 4 years, I kind of wanted to get out of that realm. I needed to get out of the spooky, gory, scary stuff. So I wanted to do a fantasy. And I've really gotten into anime and manga lately. So I had the idea to do manga inspired fantasy story, and that's how Angel Hunter was born. Angel Hunter it's a Seinen manga inspired story told in the American comic book style. It's about humanity's first strides after being expelled from Eden, and they have to claw out an existence in a world dominated by the 13 fallen angels and an army of kaiju Nephilim. So it's been really exciting to play in that sandbox. And the more lesson I work on Angel Hunter, volume 1's complete. We're working on volume 2 now, and I do say volume, not issues. We're not doing the floppies. We're going to manga size, basically trade paperbacks. The smallest volume is 96 pages. The other 9 are going to be 120 or more. So well over 1,000 pages in this story when it's all said and done. But Les and I feel like we've really got something special with Angel Hunter. I have the same feeling about it that I had about Cult of Dracula. And, as you said, it was top 50 best-selling book of 2021, not a top 50 best-selling horror comic, a top 50 best-selling comic of 2021. I got my cover was the badge art at New York Comic Con in 2021. So it really, Cult of Dracula really exploded in ways that honestly I never even expected. I always knew we had something special, but I didn't know how special it was going to become. It's kind of overwhelmed by it, honestly. But I have a very similar feeling about Angel Hunter. I really feel like this book, it's special. There's something to it. I think it's gonna hit. I think it's gonna have legs, and I think we're gonna get through all 10 volumes and have an epic dark fantasy story for you guys.
Oh, absolutely. I know I've gotten to see a little bit of the artwork beforehand, and you did say it's a manga inspired fantasy. I definitely, from what I've seen already, I'm picking up on a little bit of Berserk
Yeah.
as far as the artwork, and that's a huge compliment to your artist. Um, where kind of because you said you've worked a lot in horror, where was the transition? What clicked for you that's like, I'm gonna try my hand at fantasy. I'm gonna switch up my genres kind of deal.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of funny. My girlfriend Tiffany got me into anime and manga about a year ago. I'd never watched anything before. I Before this, I thought anime was all Pokemon and One Piece and all that goofy little kid stuff. And so I avoided it. I never watched it. And so Tiffany finally, she just shoved Attack on Titan in my face. She said, read this. And I read it and I'm like, oh my God, I love it. She said, oh yeah, watch the anime. And after that, I was done. I mean, I am whole hog into this. And I mean, I burned through Attack on Titan, then I went to Castlevania, then Vinland Saga, Berserk, finally got around to Naruto. I watched all of Naruto, even the fillers, and then now I'm in Naruto Shippuden. I can't get enough. And but I was watching this anime called Goblin Slayer. And
Yes, yes. Brad Hawkins, who voiced Goblin Slayer, has
no,
actually appeared on our show before.
oh my God, that's like God, I wish we could be
Yeah,
on together.
yeah.
Oh
He
my
he is absolutely wonderful, by the way. He's fantastic.
I would love to meet him, man. The first episode of Goblin Slayer, I'm watching this and I'm like, did I just see what I think I
Oh,
just
oh, absolutely, you did. Yeah.
I had no idea. But after watching Goblin Slayer, I had this idea just for fun. I told Tiffany, I said, I'm gonna write a little short story, a little, 8-page little comic. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll throw it in an anthology or something. I had no real plans for it. And it was kind of Goblin Slayer inspired. It had a lot of the humor and stuff like that. These four heroes, they're in a cave and they're trying to stop Moloch, the demon prince, from sacrificing these women to rip Nephilim from their bellies. So a little bit of horror with my fantasy, just fun Tuesday afternoon stuff. So I wrote that and I sent it over to Les and just check it out. And he was like, damn, dude, this is a good story. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And so I was like, okay, let's do something with this. And so I started expanding the story out and, I kicked it over to Les as I wrote it. And he finally got on board. And this is a co-creation. So, Les and I created Angel Hunter together. It took him a while to come around on doing the manga style art. And when I say it took him a while, I mean, he fought with me every day, sometimes 5 times a day, about doing this style of art. And I'm like, Les, you got to do this. It's right. It's right for the book. I promise. And he kept the thing we fought about the most was the eyes. Because I kept telling him, you got to make the eyes bigger. You got to make the eyes bigger. You got to make the eyes bigger. And you got to make them look like cats. And that, when I said cats, I think that was where he almost threw down his pencils and quit. But I shoved Attack on Titan in his face. And I said, read this. And then here's Berserk. Read this. Here's Battle Angel Alita. Read this. And he's like, oh, I get it now. And after that, it just completely exploded. And now we have this gorgeous artwork for Angel Hunter. And I hope that my story it lives up to his beautiful art.
Oh yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. From the little that I've gotten to see, it seems like a really interesting world, a really interesting, like you said, art style and story. I was literally right before the interview, I was reading a couple of your posts on Facebook about it. And you preface that every good story has to have a world that it
Mhm.
exists in,
Yep.
and that you were really, really focused on building this world. Where did you get a lot of your inspiration for the setting that you've put forth into this book, into this volume, is what we could better call it?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I tend to enjoy writing um, stories based on mythologies. And I really got into reading the Apocrypha, the books that were banned from the Bible. Because I was researching angels, and most of what we know about angels doesn't actually come from the Bible. It comes from the Apocryphal books, it comes from Milton, a lot of it comes from the Quran, Judaic books as well. So I was reading those. I was like just pulling this world out of it, and I got kind of fascinated with the idea of picking up after Eden. Like what happens after Eden? Because biblically we don't get a lot of info. It's just like they're out in the world, they're kicked out of the garden, and this guy begat that guy, and that girl begat this guy, and begat blah blah blah. So I was like, well, let's kind of play with that a little bit. Let's pull in like a fantasy setting. Humans are, they've got a few scattered settlements and one big city. And so I called the realm Edessa, a little callback to Eden. And the capital city is Lycidia. It's really the only city in the entire realm. The rest of humanity, they're like little scattered little villages, little hamlets, things along those lines. And then what really made the world come alive was when I started dealing with the specific characters and who they are, where they're from, and then pulling in the mythological creatures. Because when you're dealing with manga, you get to play with kaiju, and kaiju can be pretty much any kind of monster. And in the apocryphal texts, when you start reading about Nephilim, part human, part angel, these giants, they're described as monstrous beasts a lot. So I started playing with the idea of, okay, well, let's pull some other mythological creatures. Let's pull in Nuklavi. Let's pull in Lamia, and these are all different types of Nephilim, and they're these huge, giant kaiju type mob. We're not the little sexy Lamia, that are human size. I mean, they're these like 40 feet tall. And so as I started fleshing out the world with these characters and these different monsters and these different species, Edessa really, really came alive, and that gave me a playground to put some real heart and character development with our primary characters. In Angel Hunter, we're going to follow three special children, which if anybody's read manga or watched anime, that's a pretty.
It's gotta be three. One's gonna be edgy, one's gonna be the Naruto, and then the other one's gonna be a girl. I got it right.
Right, right. I mean, you really did. We flipped that a little bit. In this one, we actually have two girls instead of
Oh, nice.
two guys. But also one of those girls is shares a body with a guy, and they're constantly fighting to see which one gets to exist in the world and which one's gonna, because they want to live. And the only way they can exist in the world at the same time is if one of them possesses a corpse.
Mm.
And when they possess the corpse, they only have a limited time because, corpses decay. And when they're inside the corpse, it decays rapidly. And if they don't get back to each other by the time that corpse is gone, then they cease to exist. So I guess we really do have, two guys in one way.
I mean, that's a good way to break the very much the stereotypical shonen, for lack of a better term,
Right.
trend.
Yep.
Um, I I can't remember. There's a name of an anime, and my friends are gonna roast me for not remembering this, but it has a similar vibe, a similar like concept
Hmm.
where this girl can summon a demon, but he's only released for like so long,
Hmm.
and every time that she releases him, she loses a little bit of life.
Ooh, I like that.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, oh crap, I need the help, but I also have to be careful how long he's out. So the
Right.
idea of the using the corpse, but hey, I got to get back to almost like crap, what's the Doom Patrol Negative Man.
Negative man.
The
Yeah.
yeah, the spirit can only be out of the body for so long until they both start being affected.
Right.
So that's a real I really like that actually.
Yeah. And every character in Angel Hunter has something like that. I used to play Vampire the Masquerade a
Oh,
lot.
excellent
And
choice.
so, yeah, thank you. I loved it. Dark Ages was my absolute favorite. I like Requiem too. But Dark Ages and third edition are always going to be very special to me. I really a lot of kids came alive with Dungeons and Dragons. I came up with Vampire. Go
I
figure.
listen. You're talking to this right here. This is my dice box. So like D
Nice.
and D is very near and dear to this show's
Absolutely.
heart.
Yeah. But you know how in Vampire where you can get the merits, but you also have to kind of balance them with flaws.
Mm-hmm.
So it really helped me. It really inspired me with Angel Hunter. Each one of the characters, they have abilities, but these abilities, these special powers, also harm them. Like you said, somebody's got to be the Naruto character. Well, in Angel Hunter, that's a character named Go, and he's paraplegic, but he's Naruto. He refuses to lose. He just will not give up. And so in the book he's going to discover that he has the ability to borrow power from the ancient beast gods, so he can pull a little bit of Leviathan's power or a little bit of Behemoth's power. And but the drawback is the more often he does that, the closer he comes to becoming a beast himself. So he might lose his humanity. And also, I'm sure vampire people are saying, "Oh, I get it. That's vampire." Yeah, it kind of is. Um, and then we
I
have
just appreciate the Behemoth Leviathan references. Very well done.
oh, yep. Thank you. You'll find all sorts of mythological beast gods scattered throughout Angel Hunter. So if that tickles your fancy, you're going to love it. And we have the other character. Her name is Sersha. She's a wizard, and she wields the power with these tentacles of black. She pulls from the abyss, basically, and these tentacles can rip people's souls out of their body. And that's how she fuels her power, and she is constantly walking a very fine line between sanity and insanity. She could break at any time. She's also the edgy character, and you just have this tense feeling with her throughout the entire book. When is she going to break bad? When is she going to go over to the dark side? It's been a really fun, interesting character to write. She's actually become maybe my favorite character to write, because she's the closest one to a horror character that I have. So I kind of bond with her. And then with Azar Raza, that's the which is a palindrome, by the way. So that the male half of her is named Azar, and the female half is Raza. So it's the twin souls inhabiting the same body, fighting for their existence. They know eventually one of them is going to consume the other, and they're fighting to make sure that they're the ones eating, not the ones being eaten. And then the main antagonist. I can't call him a villain. I don't write villains. I don't write heroes. I write protagonists and antagonists, and you can decide who's right and who's wrong. It's not my job. His name's Aiden, and he's Darth Vader. He's powerful in all these ways. He's got a sword that consumes his enemies' souls, and when he does that, it turns them into a soldier in his army. And he always wears this armor that's like tightly wrapped all over his body, spikes and things like that. Typical, you'd think a typical anime villain, but it's got a darker story to it because that armor is literally the only thing holding his body together. So there, he has basically no form other than what's in this armor, and he has to continually consume souls and create these basically zombie soldiers for his army, but that's the only way he can sustain himself. So every power comes with an equal or sometimes even more powerful flaw with our characters, and that's been very dark and very fun to write.
No, that's super fascinating, is what it is. I do like the idea that you literally just said you don't write heroes and villains, you write protagonists and antagonists, because so many stories are far more and yes, there is good and bad, light side and dark side, Star Wars.
There you go.
But you know, life and stories are so much more complex than just black and white. And so it's really fascinating that you intentionally go, well, this isn't the hero, he's just the main character. That gives your not only you as the writer, but your character such a gray area to, for lack of a better term, operate in. And it very much keeps and I know I'm guilty of this from some of the smaller things that I write. Like, it keeps your characters, like especially your protagonist, from becoming the goody two shoes,
right?
Superman, Captain America, always do the good thing kind of deal. When you get more into that gray, Red Hood, Punisher kind of energy.
Anti-hero,
Yeah, the anti-hero.
I owe a lot of that to Kishimoto, who wrote Naruto. He has this amazing ability to make you absolutely hate a character. Like, I will never forgive you. I will never forgive you, Gaara, for shattering Rock Lee's leg. And then 4 episodes later, you see Gaara looking up at you, that little teddy bear, crying. And you're like, oh my God, Gaara, I love you. Let me give you a hug. And I don't know how he does that so consistently throughout Naruto, but I wanted to do that. I wanted to strive to come close to that, like Sasuke, when you start, he's a dick and he becomes a bigger dick, but somehow
I mean, you're not wrong.
But somehow you still feel for the guy. I mean, and even Orochimaru, you can kind of feel for him. There's no real villains that, and I wanted to try to do that because I think it makes for way more complex characters, and it adds such depth to the stories that you can tell when when you realize light and dark, good, evil, Tiamat, Marduk exist, but they're not really opposed to one another. They create a balance somehow. And when you play with that with your characters, they just really come alive, or at least that's the way I feel about it. And that's what the characters have done for me in Angel Hunter.
That's, oh, goodness. It used, because like we said earlier, I played D&D and I have so many characters that they're not bad guys, or at least I don't make them try to be like hero characters. But every single time they have these little moments where they're like, all right, well, this is the right thing to do. I may be the asshole of the entire group and I may hate every single one of you, but this is at least I feel the right thing to do.
Right.
And so it just really, and it kind of makes me think of specifically the past couple of years, like Marvel.
Hmm.
when you get into shows like Loki,
Yeah.
where in the first, 2, 3 movies he shows up in, he's an absolute dick. Like you
Oh
hate
yeah.
him. You're just like, man, I'm glad Hulk whipped your ass. And
Right.
and then you're 2 seasons into Loki being like, damn it, when did he become the good guy? Like
Mhm.
when did he become the hero?
Right. Like
So
when did he
it's
break good?
yeah. And so just the the lack of traditional good guy bad guy roles just makes it such an interesting story and makes me really excited to dig into these books.
No, thank you. Yeah, and I really hope by doing that, by not really making anybody a hero or a villain, I think it gives the reader an opportunity to bond with whatever character rings true with them. It's like it again, Naruto. Everybody will tell you they have a different favorite character in Naruto. And it's again because Kishimoto makes it where there's really no villains. There's really no true heroes. Every hero's done something dark and every villain has done something good. So yeah, it just makes the story way more interesting to tell.
Yeah, and I know specifically, especially when it comes to my friends, and it yes, I lean towards more the Gokus and the Captain Americas, but all of my friends, their number one pick for DBZ characters is Vegeta.
Uh,
And I was like, yeah, y'all remember he was the bad guy, right? But just through being an interesting character and through his story, just they resonate with him more.
mm,
And
yep.
I get it. And I'm never gonna discredit that. It just for me, I lean one way. For them, they lean the other. So it's a really fascinating little bit of detail.
And everybody loves the redemption arc.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Love me a good redemption.
Yep.
Most redemption arcs I love. There's a couple that still get me in arguments,
Sure.
but most redemption arcs, gotta love them.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm keeping an eye on the time because I know you're a busy man. You've got another show that you're literally
Yeah.
going to
I
bounce
hate it. I've got to
right
run right
into.
after this. I'm having
Um,
fun already.
right. But before you go, when can people expect these books, and what
Mhm.
is going to be the easiest way for people to get their hands on it?
So the great thing about it is the book is finished. Lettering was completed last week, so we're just going through the final editing, making sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and there aren't any typos in the book. And it's going to be right off to the printer. So this is the first time I'm ever taking a book to Kickstarter first. Normally my books go straight to comic book stores. But this time we're going to go Kickstarter first. It launches April 25th. You can go follow, sign up to be notified about the Kickstarter now. The pre-launch page is up. But the Kickstarter will run until May 25th. And then after that, we expect to fulfill the orders within 30 days. That's fingers crossed that everything goes well with the printer, because unfortunately we do have to print overseas. It's just the economics don't work for printing large print runs domestically. So, we're going to do some of our special variant covers here with a company called Ready Comics out of Arizona. They're amazing. If you guys are looking for special covers, medals, things like that, go check them out. They're awesome people. So we do want to keep as much of our business stateside as we can, but we have to. So anyway, we're going to get them printed in China, but we hope to be able to by June 25th. We should be able to start fulfilling the orders. And so I know that's a thing with Kickstarter. When you back it, you're like, oh well, are they actually going to make the book? Well, we can tell you right now, the books are made. They're going to the printer. Whether the Kickstarter succeeds or not, the book is getting printed because it's going to go to comic book stores in September. I think September. That's the publisher's thing. So, but yeah, so April 25th, the Kickstarter goes live. Pre-launch is up right now. And then we will start fulfilling immediately after we get funded.
Excellent. Where is the easiest way that people can follow you, can follow your work, can follow Angel Hunter, where they can find Cult of Dracula? Where's the easiest place to get a hold of you?
Yeah. So you can get me directly on all the socials at Rich Davis, Rich Davis Comics. And then you can follow Angel Hunter at Angel Hunter. And then I have my World of Dracula Facebook and Instagram pages. It's just at World of Dracula. So you get all kinds of different aspects on there. Most of my horror stuff is done through World of Dracula. Angel Hunter's obviously done through Angel Hunter, and then all of my just random craziness is just at my personal creator page on Facebook and Instagram.
Excellent. Well, Rich, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Like I said, I know you're a busy man, so I won't keep you too long. But thank you for dropping in. Thank you for sharing this story that you've clearly put a lot of heart, a lot of effort, and just blood, sweat, and hopefully no literal tears. In right into this
one of the artists.
But you put a lot of effort into this story, and we're looking forward to seeing it. I know I'm probably going to get on the Kickstarter as soon as this interview's done. But thank you so much for joining us, and thank you everyone who's watched here today. We greatly appreciate your support. As always, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. I've been posting more to TikTok, so go to Jay Kirby on TikTok. And once again, we will be at More Phenomenal Con, San Antonio, Texas, March 29th and the 30th. Will be there. Most of the Kirbside Renegade Rangers crew will be there. So do not miss out. Do not miss out on Angel Hunter. And once again, Rich, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you all for stopping Kirbside.